Forrest is one of the contributors for Meditation Magazine, and he's been really helpful in getting our magazine out there as much as possible. He's helping us with our YouTube and all those kinds of things. Recently interviewed Graham Hancock a couple of weeks ago. So welcome, Forrest.
Yes. How's everything going for you?
Crazy. How about you?
Well, yeah, I would say the same. I mean, I feel like we're both kind of in transitional periods right now for sure. So
Yeah. There's been some craziness going on. Just to let you know, by the way, I started the live stream too early, and whatever. You're here now. It's good. So
Cool.
yeah, this has been a crazy week for me. I guess I told you a little bit about it. I My family in New York turned out to have coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, my parents didn't catch it from my sister, and well, my sister's whole family got it, but my parents
Yeah.
didn't get it, thankfully, because they were the most at risk.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
good.
my sister Suri is in the hospital now.
Mm.
It's not good. She's been having trouble breathing, and she's got the COVID pneumonia now. So
Uh,
yeah,
well, it's
not good.
probably good that she's in the hospital. I mean,
Yeah.
she can be around, medical professionals. So, I mean,
Yeah, but it's one of those things that it's like, oh man, she's like they think she'll probably be in the hospital for like 5 days or something like that.
wow.
Hopefully not more than that, but it's been a
Does she
crazy week.
have any sort of pre
Not really. She has like
pre-existing?
no, she has sinus issues, and like
Uh,
she has like this the sinus issues gives her a cough normally. So now with the coronavirus, it just makes the cough like really bad. So she has like her oxygen dropped below 90, and then like that could do damage to your organs and stuff. So they took her to the hospital.
wow.
Yeah, so they're treating her there. Hopefully, she won't be there for more than a week. But it's been an intense week for my family for that reason. But and I was driving up from Florida to New York to be able
Hmm.
to get to our prenatal appointments for Giovanna, and we had to stop in Daytona for a week uh,
Yeah.
because we didn't know what was going on with my family in New York.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was intense. But now we just got to Quantico. Do you know Quantico? It's like
Um,
where
Not
the
exactly.
it's where the FBI training academy is, and like there's like the NCIS over here and all that stuff. It's kind of cool.
Did you say that you were in DC? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
basically
Okay.
DC. It's like
Hmm.
Quantico is like part of DC area.
Oh, okay. I've
Yeah,
been there
so
before. I've been to the Cherry Blossom Festival there before,
mm,
but that was years ago. So I may have been to where you're talking about because I went all around that area, but it's just
yeah.
been so long.
Yeah, so we just got here literally like I mean, I just like got here, put the laptop down, and let's like have a live stream. Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
barely did anything except for get gas at the gas station over here. So yeah. But it's been a drive, man. It's been a drive. We've been driving for a long time.
Yeah,
Um,
I bet.
yeah. Yeah, like that was today. We drove from South Carolina today, and I don't know. I get like really happy on these drives for some reason. Like
Me
I
too.
yeah. I don't know what it is. It's like the vibrations of the car, like the trees going by, like the
Hmm.
bright sky above, like
Yeah.
sometimes I used to get stressed in the car, like I used to get stressed, and I think I was like thinking about where I was going and like when I'm going to get there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of one of
Hmm.
those meditation things, like when I started just enjoying being in the car, it makes a big difference, you know what I
Well,
mean?
also, I think that depending upon like where you are and the pathway that you're going, maybe what you're seeing is like all new to you. So you're like constantly just like taking it in and it keeps you present.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're normally going down this one pathway all the time, you could kind of like almost automatically do it and you're not even really thinking about where you are. You, like you're saying, you're just kind of thinking about the future, whereas when you're in like a new circumstance, you're kind of forced to take everything in.
Yeah,
So,
maybe. I think it was more it's bit for me it's more of just like over time my own evolution of like becoming more present and just like meditating more. Because
hmm,
like we drive this route a good amount. Like I mean it's a pretty
okay.
boring route between Florida and New York is a very boring like section of road. So and
Yeah.
especially in the winter and it's all the dead trees and stuff. So it wasn't really so much the outer world that was keeping me
Hmm.
present. It was more of the inner world.
I see.
Yeah, like we put on some music and I was like singing along with the music and it was kind of fun, you know.
What kind of music?
All kinds. Like first we have like this Tranquilitas. It's called. It's a really good playlist on Spotify. It's just
Okay.
like it's like sort of shamanic music. You know,
Mm.
like
Yeah,
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 like
yeah.
that kind of shamanic feel with like the instruments.
Hmm.
And then but like that was making Giovanna sleepy and she couldn't drive. So then we put on a bunch of like really like power ballad type of stuff, and
Uh,
I was like singing along with that, like Pat Benatar and stuff like that. I love that
oh, I
stuff.
love her. Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
And then eventually we settled on this great band. It's called Ito and Joe.
Okay.
They take mantras and then they just make it into music. It's like beautiful
Mm.
mantra music, and you should check it out on Spotify. It's really good.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
really
What's it
beautiful.
called?
Ito and Joe, EDO, like and
Yeah.
JO. Here, maybe if I send it in the chat, I think yeah,
Yeah, I just wrote it
Ito
down, but that would
and
be good in
Joe.
case I misspelled it.
There's one that's good that's called Giovanna, what was that song called? The Ito and Joe song? No, the other one. Yeah, Om Shanti. That was a good one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on Spotify it's really good. Um
Ah, okay.
yeah, so that's they have a lot of good ones. I think you'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyways, uh yeah, so and then I was kind of singing along with that and it's just I don't know, had a really nice drive. How was your
That's
day?
good. That's good, man. Yeah, it's been good. I worked on a bunch of the Graham Hancock clips yesterday that
Mhm.
I published.
You just fell out of the stream. So, I think that Forrest maybe hit the wrong button or something. There you are.
I can still hear you.
Okay, what happened there?
I don't know.
Okay.
I
So what were
don't
you
know.
saying?
Yeah, so anyways, I have a few more clips with the Graham Hancock interview that I'm going to publish today. So that's going to be interesting.
Nice.
But
I saw
yeah,
part of that today actually. That was really cool. Um,
cool. Yeah.
that yeah, I wonder if I could share my screen. I don't know. Let me try. Share. Oh, sweet, I can. Let me see here on YouTube. So Forrest recently did an
There's us.
interview with Graham. Yeah, that's us right now. It's kind of meta. So wait, Graham Hancock Meditation Magazine. Let's see. This is it. No, I don't know where it is. Did you publish it yet?
Yes, it's right there.
Oh,
That
there it
one
is.
right there. Hmm.
Yeah, this is so good. We started watching it at like a freaking like Subway, like in the
Oh
middle of
yeah.
North Carolina, and it was awesome. Like the intro was really cool. The like the beginning, you just jumped right into some heavy stuff, like talking
Yeah.
about psychedelics and society, and like him talking about how like laws on psychedelics is basically the government trying to control your mind, and I think that's a pretty valid point. Like it's pretty intense.
Definitely. That's what a large part of like the war on drugs was about. And the war on consciousness is essentially kind of more specializing in plant medicines because, these are, especially like with the studies that have come out, they're very obviously, they have therapeutic potential. And the
Hmm.
fact that they're still being held back really it makes it kind of obvious that something's going on here, and it's just something that we need to explore. And at the time, Graham Hancock, this was a few years ago. I can't remember exactly how many. Maybe I think around 5 or so. He gave this TED talk, and he was talking about his experiences and the ancient cultures that used these plant medicines and how much of an impact that they had in their cultures. But Ted decided to take it down, supposedly because of some of the claims that he made, like that these plant medicines have the potential for healing.
Hmm.
And so they take it down for something like that. But then whenever new studies come out by leading medical universities like John Hopkins University, they talk about
Hmm.
studies that they have done where people who have been diagnosed with severe depression, um, that it has been shown to be extremely helpful for those people. It really just validates what Graham Hancock was saying. And it's like what he was saying, if you're somebody who has had experiences like that, then it doesn't seem outlandish for him to have said that. Like, you understand where he's coming from.
Hmm.
It's just the people who have not really experienced that or have not ever like considered the possibility that those things could have value, that those were the people who essentially told Ted to strike the TED Talk down.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
crazy. So I
yeah,
thought it was like that his TED Talk was banned because he was saying some honestly some crazy shit or something like that. I didn't know what he was. I didn't see the TED Talk. That got
yeah.
banned. I thought maybe he was talking about like psychedelics curing cancer or something
No,
like that. I
oh
don't.
no,
Yeah, like
no.
or that like I don't know whatever. I don't know what he was. I didn't.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it was. I
understand.
thought they had some reason, but like that sounds like there was like no reason almost at all. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
no, and I sent you actually a TED article where they talked about the exact things, the exact reasons why they took his TED Talk down, and then they gave Graham the opportunity to refute what they were saying. And so
Hmm.
they essentially, like, in this article, they crossed out all of the things that they said he was claiming, and he had the opportunity to correct what they were misunderstanding. And that,
Wow.
yeah. So, I mean, for Ted to do that, I mean,
Hmm.
they wrote a whole article about this, where they are admitting that
Hmm.
they claimed things that were incorrect. And then they crossed out everything, and then they allowed Graham to give the corrections himself. So
Wow.
that's a fascinating thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I didn't realize
Yeah.
that. I think maybe you could add some of those points to your article about Graham Hancock that's going to go in one of the next issues because I mean it could be this one, it could be the next one. I guess we have to make that decision as I'm like working on the magazine issue. Like
Hmm.
it's very like old man heavy, and I feel like there needs to be a balance. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't gotten there yet. But we have Sadhguru, we have Deepak. Oh, I got the high res image of Deepak, by the way. Here, check this out. This is the most high resolution image. Can you see this? This is
Yes.
the most high resolution image I've ever seen in my life. Oh wait, hang
Uh,
on. I hit it by accident. Here, I don't know if you can see this.
yeah.
Here, watch as I zoom in. I don't know if you can see this. It's still sharp, still sharp,
Uh-huh.
still sharp, still sharp, still sharp, still sharp.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
That's what lighting can do. I mean,
It's not lighting. This is like a 50 megapixel image.
oh, certainly,
Yeah.
but without that lighting, you're not going to get anywhere near
Yeah.
that kind of a quality.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
this is here. Wait, this the file size of this thing is like crazy. It's a 52 megabytes. Have you
oh
ever seen a
gosh.
JPEG that's 52 megabytes? It's crazy.
Well, I've actually seen the world's largest picture that was ever taken, which was of the Andromeda galaxy, and you can like literally see the stars in the
Wow.
galaxy. So yeah,
Yeah. So this is
that's
going to be
good.
on this is going to be one of the covers. The other cover is the Sadhguru one. And the Sadhguru one is pretty cool because he's got we haven't put together the full cover yet, but it's like he's out in the West. He's got the cool sunglasses. He's like traveling around the United States.
Did
And
we ever get in touch with Tina in a way that would
yes,
be
yes.
good, or maybe we
So
can discuss
yeah,
that later?
no, yeah, I'll tell you. Yeah, we are doing. Um, a 60-40 split
Okay.
between Sadhguru and Deepak in the United States, and then Deepak's going to have more of the international distribution. You see that? You see that image? I love that image. So cool.
Yes.
And I think that the article about Sadhguru is going to be just about his motorcycle trip. That's like the main focus of that article, which I think is going to be a really cool article. And the that's what the interview was mainly about. And then the Deepak one is going to be more biographical about Deepak,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to also sort of tie in about some of the disagreements that exist between him and like some of the like Michael Shermer slash Dawkins slash Joe Rogan types of
Mm-hmm.
people, and just I want to try to reconcile some of those disagreements, because I think those disagreements are just based on misunderstanding each other's perspectives. I
Mm-hmm.
actually think at this point, after like watching a lot of Deepak's videos, that I actually think that Joe Rogan and those types are actually more misunderstanding Deepak's perspective than vice versa.
Well, it's
Um,
really interesting because if you look at one of the more popular videos where Joe talks about Deepak, he's
mhm,
speaking with I think he's like a theoretical physicist,
hmm,
and his name's Sean Carroll.
mhm,
And, he's extremely like logically minded, of
mhm,
course. I mean,
mhm,
for him to like be in that position. And I actually listened to a very interesting, it was kind of like an interview with Sean Carroll and I think he was like a Buddhist scholar. He was like he had a PhD in Buddhist studies. He was a monk, and they were kind of like having a conversation about the nature of reality.
hmm,
And in my opinion, and I was reading the comments, I was like, I mean, I see where Sean's coming from, but this guy, he's really explaining it from a perspective that makes it very compelling to see. Essentially, kind of understanding that we all have our own biases and that
mhm,
we're, coming at these types of questions from our own perspective through the experiences that we've had, and that maybe sometimes people aren't really acknowledging that, and that sometimes they're kind of viewing their own opinion as being the superior opinion,
hmm.
but that maybe there are some underlying details of something that might be being overlooked, which if you did actually pay attention to those things, it might change your perspective. But then again, it all
Yeah.
goes back to how did you get to the answer that you are giving.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I think that like the questions are more important than the answers a lot of the time.
yeah.
And like
Hmm.
the do you know Mahavira? Have you ever heard of Mahavira?
I don't know, maybe.
He was a contemporary of Siddhartha Gautama,
Okay.
the Buddha.
Yeah.
They lived at the same time in like the same area. A lot of historians at one point thought that they were the same person. But Mahavira is actually they realized that he's actually a separate person. He was the founder of Jainism, the religion,
Oh, okay.
the spiritual tradition called Jainism.
Yeah.
He was like a naked guy that wandered around and just like told people good stuff. Yeah, and his main philosophy. There was one of his main philosophies was called Anekantavata. I forget. I don't know exactly how to say it, but it means that like nothing is the whole truth. Like that, basically anything that we say is not actually communicating the entire truth, the whole truth. The whole
Yeah.
truth can only be experienced. It cannot be spoken. It cannot be expressed. And
Yeah.
anything that we express is only a partial truth. Is
Yes.
only just like a facet of reality.
Do you know who
Um,
Thich Nhat Hanh is?
of course, yeah. I stayed at
Yeah.
one of his monasteries.
Oh, I wish we could interview him. I know he's like at the end of the road, but if we could interview him, that would be insane.
Yeah, yeah, we
But
missed a few. We missed a few. We missed Thich Nhat Hanh. He had a stroke recently. I don't know. We guess we could still interview him, but he's kind of. I don't know how he's doing right now.
yeah, I'm
We
sure he's very protected right now.
we missed Ram Dass
Yeah.
by not very long. And but here, you know what? We have other people that we're interviewing that are amazing. Like we just
Oh yeah,
interviewed Sadhguru.
100%.
We just interviewed Deepak Chopra. Like these are some of the contemporary people that are in our lifetime that are still alive. There's
Yeah.
also, the Dalai Lama is still alive.
Yeah.
I've been reaching out to him.
Hmm.
He's extremely busy, so I don't know when the next time I'll get a chance to talk to him is. But like, I think that these people that we look at and like, oh, like Thich Nhat Hanh, we like missed the opportunity basically. But there's so many other people that are coming up now. There's so
Yeah.
many other people that are. I think Sadhguru is really one of them, and like Muji, and
Hmm.
like maybe Adya Shanti. I don't know if you know who that is, and like
Yeah. Yeah.
Shinzen Young, and like people like that. What's their name? Gangaji. Like there's a lot of really interesting people coming up that we could interview, and they're those in 20 years, those are going to be the those great gurus that
Oh
you know
yeah. Oh, it's gonna be insane with the internet. Like, I mean, it's
yeah.
gonna be. I mean, it's hard to even imagine what things are gonna be like. With everything that's going on now. Not to like go on a like a side tangent, but
Mm.
like with people coming together, rallying around the whole GameStop situation that's been going on. They're rallying, like people are coming together like right now in a way that's like incredible.
Yeah, it's only going to get more and more because the
Yeah.
internet connectivity and like the young people are the ones that are really the internet generation. So
Yes.
the as we go on in life, like there's going to be more and more technology that's going to integrate with the mind, like Neuralink, as we had been talking about in another podcast, that's going to
Yeah.
allow everybody to connect without really even having to use computers.
Yep.
Like the hive mind. Yeah, it's going to be crazy what's going to happen. Hopefully we can send enough ripples of presence out into the collective consciousness, that when the collective consciousness sort of starts coming together, that and more, like it's already coming together through the internet, but like
Hmm.
when it comes together so much that it's going to start like resonating, like like what do you call it, like a resonant frequency,
Hmm.
like when in like inside of a bowl or something, like inside of one of those Tibetan bowls, the waves
Hmm.
bounce back
Yeah.
and forth, and it really just strikes one note. And I
Yeah.
think the more that our consciousness, like collective consciousness, comes together, it's going to evolve toward one sort of note. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like toward like
Yeah.
one way of consciousness, and hopefully that's going to be a more enlightened type of consciousness than the
Which is
current.
what my article is about. So
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, your
yeah,
article or my article? You knew
mine.
you wait, what was your article about?
Well, the one with Graham
Oh, with
Hancock.
Graham Hancock. That was
Yes.
really about that. That's true.
Yeah.
About the psychedelics moving everybody toward
Yeah.
to moving the society toward enlightened consciousness.
And
Uh
one thing that he said, just to like make this
mhm,
clear, is that I wanted to make it important that we link things together like psychedelics and meditation. It's
mhm,
not just psychedelics. Like you may not have seen this yet in the talk, but one of the highlights of that interview is that there's a lot of work to be done after the psychedelic experiences. Like there's a way of integrating these experiences into
mhm.
our lives, and meditation is the way that you can make that transition. And so I made a point, to talk about that and to, let people know, like, yes, the psychedelics, they are effective, they are going to cause great change in the world, but meditation, in my opinion, is how it's going to become a part of our everyday lives and not just something that we occasionally do, and that we have this experience and then we go back to our lives and try to integrate, and then we forget everything, and then we have to go back to the psychedelics again. There has to be something that can make it all into one thing. And meditation, that was just a really important point for me to make, especially because we are Meditation Magazine. So
Yeah, I'm looking up right now. There was this one quote. I don't remember who it was. I think maybe it was Allen Ginsberg or something, who said something like acid will show you the top of the mountain. But if you want to stay there, you need to make the arduous trek yourself.
hmm
I don't know if you
yeah.
like, and that's what like about meditation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can never remember who said that. Like, I don't know. Do you know who said that?
I don't know who said that, but I've heard similar things. I've
Yeah,
heard that psychedelics are like taking the elevator to the top of the mountain,
yeah,
whereas meditation is like taking the stairs.
yeah, exactly.
And you know, the thing
But
is,
that's not that great of an example because if you take the stairs or the elevator, you could stay there. You know what I mean?
well,
Like
the come down is much quicker with
in
the
the elevator.
elevator,
Mhm.
whereas it takes, like, for example, if you were, you know, to stop taking psychedelics, you're going to come straight down very quickly. You're going to return back to the same world that you were once in very
Yeah,
quickly. Whereas with meditation, once you get to a understanding of it, where you begin to realize what's happening, it's hard to just let that go. Like, it
yeah,
becomes automatically a part of who you are because it's coming from within you. It's not something from the outside that's coming into your body. It's all generated from the inside.
yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, I know what
yeah.
you mean. But that kind of, that's similar to what I was trying to say in that article that I wrote. So I wrote over the past like week. I've been writing this article about gurus and like there's sort of like reverence for gurus and guru worship, and you know what I
Hmm.
mean, and like the dangers of that, and like, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like also like thinking that I'm actually struggling with this. It like Deepak and Raghu Marcus. You know who
Hmm.
both of those people
Of
are.
course. Yeah.
Yeah. So I asked both of them about gurus being like totally enlightened,
Hmm.
and like the idea that someone could be completely enlightened forever, like,
Hmm.
or completely awakened forever. Hey, Giovanna, did you read that article yet? Oh, you're reading it. Thank you. I asked Giovanna to read it over to give me her opinion. She's got very like good, like she's got like good wisdom. Yeah, she's got like whenever she, I don't know, she's got like a certain kind of wisdom to her that like is like some mixture of common sense and spirituality, and it's like
Hmm.
I don't have that. I just like I don't have common sense, so I don't know what other people are going to think about it. But I sort of reason from first principles, and I think about like what is like truth, but then a lot of
Hmm.
the time people get mad when I tell them the things because I don't really have the common sense to explain it in a way that people are going to like be able to stomach. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, yeah, but as far as like the article itself,
yeah.
I mean, like I was telling you, you know, we're all going to have different ideas. Like, no matter who you are, we're all going to have different ideas about that. And ultimately, the important thing is that you're willing to consider other possibilities other than the way that you are personally thinking.
Right,
Like,
right.
when you were
It's
writing, I saw that you were saying, like, if anybody knows anybody who they could
yeah,
introduce me to, let me know. That's an
yeah,
important thing.
yeah. I mean, I'm like, so Raghu and Deepak both said that they have either met or been like in close contact with people who were like completely enlightened, like in a way that's like forever, like that they
Mhm.
were always in non-duality. And I don't know what that really even means because aren't we all already in non-duality? Like,
Yeah.
isn't non-duality not about whether you realize it or not? It's about like, non-duality is like just the nature of existence, right?
Yeah.
So like so then if we're all already like there was this guy in Cambodia that he was one of my favorite people that I interviewed in my whole quest for enlightenment or whatever. I asked him about it, about awakening, and I kept grilling him like and eventually he came out with this sentence that like I was like really grilling him about like how to be like if how could some people be awakened and other people are not awakened, whatever. And he kind of like came out with this sentence that I thought was really beautiful. He said, "We're all already awake. We just need to realize it." He said
Yeah.
everything is already awake. Not
Hmm.
not we are all, like everything, like all of existence.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just like kind of blew my mind. Like existence is already awake. Like we just need to realize it. That's all. So like for someone to be like always awakened, like we're kind of all always awakened, like that we're as part of the universe. And like for someone to always be aware of that is like, okay, that's cool, but like I mean we're all aware of it sometimes,
Hmm.
right? Like so like is there like, okay, so like Kevin's aware of it like 5% of the time or 10% of the time, and Forrest is aware of it like 10% or 15% of the
Hmm.
time, but like Neem Karoli Baba is aware of it 100% of the time. Like, is that what they're trying to say? Is like, and if it is, then it doesn't sound like a human. Like, humans
Yeah.
don't work like that.
Hmm.
Humans are like flow. Like,
Yeah.
everything is a flow.
Hmm.
So like, to say that anything is some particular way 100% of the time, like, it doesn't jive with my experience. I don't get it. And like, they the Buddha himself said, like, everything is always changing. Anicca, it's like one of the three marks of existence, like one of the three like characteristics of the universe. Like, everything is constantly changing. So like,
Hmm.
how can you say that somebody is always perfectly enlightened? I don't get that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's a couple things I'd like to say.
Hmm.
First of all, I'm totally open minded, just like just like you said that you were. I'm totally open minded to being shown something that could radically alter my perspective. Um, but I feel like we all have our opinions of who is enlightened and who is not. And like, for an example, if you have seen the Love Serve Remember documentary that's like 20 minutes long, I think, from Ram Dass, there's
Hmm.
like this one scene that's very quick where it actually shows Neem Karoli Baba, and he does something in the moment that, to me, kind of, it like shocked me out of like what I was expecting,
Hmm.
which I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't necessarily think of an enlightened person as doing this,
Hmm.
but it seemed as if he was kind of like he was sitting on his little platform, and someone was like laying down next to him, or like they were like touching his feet or something,
Hmm.
and then he's kind of like shoving them backwards, or he's like obviously kind of like berating them, like with his voice. He's almost, it seemed like it was shouting. He was not there was no audio, so you couldn't really hear what he was saying. It was kind of just like a B-roll clip,
Hmm.
but it was not like, in that moment, it just like shocked me out of like my idea of him, which what I thought, like what Duncan Trussell has talked about, what
Hmm.
Ram Dass has talked about, that he's like this pure glowing being, all the time, and just pure loving energy.
Hmm.
And but in that moment, I'm seeing him kind of like really just like pushing somebody away, like,
Hmm.
go back, like,
Hmm.
go, like, that's what he's doing.
Huh.
And
Wow. Can you send me that video clip? That
yeah,
sounds fascinating.
I'll try
Um,
to find the exact time that it was at, and I'll send that to you.
yeah.
But yeah, so I think that in terms of like gurus go, I understand that there's like an actual translation of it, but like, in my own kind of way of thinking about it, I feel like the term guru is like teacher in
Mm,
certain ways, and it's like, um, we're all going to find teachers that we resonate with, maybe greater than other ones. And whenever we find one that we resonate with to a degree beyond any other person who we've ever communicated with,
mhm,
we might call that person a guru or a teacher or our teacher,
mhm.
but that there's all these different kinds. Because have you heard of uh I'm I'm losing his name right now, but it's
Not heard of him.
no, yeah. There's another a guru of sorts who came around the same time of Ram Dass, um, and he came to America. He was a monk before for like his entire life, and then he decided to become an American. You may know who I'm talking about
Mm.
after this,
Is
but
it like Bhagwan Das?
no. I mean, he was an Asian person. I believe
Mm.
he was from Tibet. Like, he was a Tibetan monk who
Oh.
came to America, and he started like really like drinking a lot.
Hmm.
He was like he was married, and he was also admittedly having affairs with his students.
Mm,
I think it was like Crazy Wisdom is like a documentary that it was
mm.
called.
Crazy Wisdom.
Um,
That sounds interesting. We should check it out. But
yeah,
like you see the Osho documentaries and like it's like that also. So yeah,
yes.
I mean but like to me that's like okay, these guys are clearly just, regular human beings and
Uh-huh.
they may be called gurus,
Chogyam
but
Trungpa.
Chogyam Trungpa was like
Yes.
that. That's crazy. I didn't realize.
Yes. And he
Even
was highly revered.
Alan Watts also, he was drinking, he was having extramarital affairs, he was having issues.
Hmm.
And like, but I love his speaking. And Osho had all his issues, lots of issues that were in that documentary. But if I listen to his words, they're beautiful. So
Hmm.
there's so many of these gurus that have beautiful words and sometimes beautiful actions too. But then, there's the human element comes out, and it's like, oh, like they have flaws. They are not a guru. They're clearly just a regular human being. Like,
Hmm.
and they're being called a guru.
Hmm.
Like that's why are people? They're tricking people to think that they're
Yeah.
a guru. Like when they're
Hmm.
just a human. Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the article that I wrote, it sounds silly to even say like all humans are humans. Like to say that it's like so obvious, obviously, but
Hmm.
like at the same time, like it does seem like people have this other idea that gurus are not humans, that they're something other than humans. Because then
And
when
this
the
this
guru
is
shows
something
that
you
they're
kind
a
of
human,
alluded
it
to.
becomes a problem. You
Hmm.
know what I mean?
Yeah. This is like something you were alluding to where it almost becomes like a religious thing. It's not even necessarily even spiritual anymore. It's like
Yeah.
you have a religious kind of
Yes.
perspective towards this person.
Exactly. It becomes like a religion. I think
Hmm.
that's the sort of root of religions is like people worshiping the messenger instead of the message. Do you get what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really what it is. And I think the Buddha talked about that at the beginning. Like he said, like, don't like just listen to me and follow me blindly. When I was Jewish, I learned the Torah, and there's this old ancient story about Abraham. I think it was Abraham, or like maybe it was like one of his sons, like Jacob or something, like his grandson. That when the Jews went to Egypt, Jacob like asked not to be buried in a place where like the Jews would like end up worshiping him,
Hmm.
because like I think that they realized people like spiritual leaders realized that like if people start worshiping them, then it becomes like their lives were actually like harmful rather than helpful in a certain
Hmm.
way. Like they're just trying to say like, hey, don't like follow like a leader, like find your own truth, like find reality for yourself.
Hmm.
And then people go and say, yes, leader, we will find the reality for our own
Yeah.
selves. Like in that Monty Python. Did you ever watch Monty Python?
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
of Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like the guy's like you are all we are all individuals, and then the people were like we are all individuals, and
Yeah.
then one guy's like I'm not. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like that's kind of like what happens, and it's sad, but like I feel like gurus need to speak up about that stuff.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they need to say, hey, like like they need to communicate that gurus are humans too.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
well, there's an interesting idea that I have as well that I've kind of been exploring, and I've been talking to a few monks about this, because Siddhartha Gautama, like we all know him as being like the Buddha, but what a lot of people may not know is that he was only the most recent Buddha, and that there were Buddhas before him. So this is
Yeah,
like so this is like a cyclical thing that's
right,
happening over and over
right.
again according to the Buddhist traditions.
It's the same in the Jain traditions, by the way.
Mhm.
They call them
Yes.
Tirthankaras or something. I
Yeah.
forgot the names of them.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that
Yes.
there's and that like Mahavira, the founder of Jainism, was like the 250th Tirthankara or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like Buddha Gautama,
Hmm.
was like the I don't know, like 12th or something Buddha. I forgot
Yeah.
exactly how many,
Hmm.
but yeah, that and that it goes back into history. But then we stop at those people, and then nobody else is Buddhas. It doesn't make sense. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I mean, this is all part of the big work that I'm working on that, Graham Hancock has he plays a role in that. There are other people who are involved in this,
Mhm.
that is like essentially I'm going through a personal investigation of studying these traditions as far back as we can possibly look through, with the ancient texts, that are being translated from Pali, into English.
Mm.
And so something interesting that I'm like pondering is that it seems as if these people are kind of arising naturally as a manifestation of the universe.
Yes, they are.
Yes, and that
It's
it's like there's
just like
things that are
we
going.
also are arising naturally as
Yes,
manifestations
yes,
of the universe.
yes, and
Everything arises as a
yes.
manifestation of the universe.
Yes,
Yeah.
but if you look at the Hindu traditions,
Mhm.
there's stories of Shiva essentially being the god of destruction, and a lot of people, whenever they hear that, they're like, "Oh, he must be an evil god." But
Right.
really, what he is representing is the destruction of evil and the beginning of a restart into the golden age. And essentially, that's like what the Buddha, in a lot of ways, represents in certain ways, is that there's certain things that were going on around in the world at a time at which the world really needed somebody like that
Hmm.
to come about and awaken people through their own uh, example and their own way of living. They're as uh, as uh, as it is said that your life should be your message. These are these people that are actually living their life as their message at a time when the world is in utter chaos and everyone thinks the world is going to be destroyed. This person comes along. This is what stories, ancient traditions have said, across many different religions, many different traditions, but that this person comes at the right time where they can essentially create a wave throughout the universe so that things can return back to order from becoming extremely chaotic and unstable.
But it never is as black and white as that. Like the Buddha came in and he had lived his life as an example. But by the way,
Mhm.
remembering that he also left his wife and child. So like, you know what I mean? Like you can't, nobody lives a life as a perfect example. Like there's
But
just
I
no
think
way.
that that's kind of like, who are we to judge who's living a perfect life?
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. There is no such
Hmm.
thing as a perfect life. Like there's no
Hmm.
such thing as but that's where people get all like stressed and like wound up about like gurus where oh this guru did this. He was drinking a lot. This guru
Hmm.
was having extramarital affairs. This guru was buying Rolls Royces. Like
Hmm.
that then it's like, oh, those are bad. That guy's bad. That guy's good. That guy's bad. It's black and white thinking. Do you get what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like, so it's like none of these people are anything other than people. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So,
Hmm.
like, even the Buddha, like, they're all
Hmm.
of these people are just people, and they had some impact. And then anybody can find skeletons in anybody's closet. Do you get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Hmm.
there's always something. There's always some
Yeah.
problem. You can't
Hmm.
live a life that because if you're going to try to be doing something big and something good, you're going to hurt people along the way by accident or intentionally. Like the Buddha, like should he not have left his family? Like then we wouldn't have Buddhism, like then,
Hmm.
like but I'm sure his family wasn't happy about it. And they would if they lived in today, like they would have been talking to the tabloids about it, and the tabloids would be like, "Oh, look at the sad people that the Buddha left behind." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the tears from the child or whatever. Like that's what we would get today if that was the story today. And
Yeah.
it's just like living your life as an example, I think is also a problematic concept. It's like, yeah, do your best,
Hmm.
but like I think anything where you're trying to be above, like I'm the example, like it
Hmm.
starts to become a problem. Like it starts to become like there's arrogance, and then the arrogance turns into ego. Like it's all like wrapped up in ego. You know what I mean? Like a guru that is like, oh, you should look at what I'm doing because what I'm doing is better than what you're doing, and you should follow in my example and in my path. Anybody who feels that or thinks that, I think it's yes, they may have some valid points that they have some smart ideas, some wisdom, some intelligence, some great behavior patterns or whatever that people could learn from.
Hmm.
But when they start to get it like, oh, I'm the guru and you need to do what I do and think what I think, then that's where the problems come in, I think.
Which
Yeah,
is what the Buddha advised people not do,
right,
which is what
exactly.
makes him different. And by the
Yeah.
way, these are all stories of like
Mhm.
what we're being told this person was like.
Yeah, right.
Whereas we weren't around. We're just going off of like
Yeah.
what these people are
It
saying.
does seem like something that a person who was a really great spiritual leader would say is like, hey, people, don't follow me just blindly. Like, figure it
Yes.
out for yourself. Like, that's what a
Hmm.
real great spiritual leader would say.
Hmm.
I don't think that a lot of the gurus in our time say that clearly enough. I think
Yeah.
they should.
Well, yeah, I
You know what I
mean,
mean?
I mean, it's really interesting because it seems like there's groups of monks. I'm not even going to go into gurus because, we'll just talk about people who are making this decision for themselves, not for any other reason, but for their own peace. Uh, they're going to places where they can't be found. They're not living in cities. They're not living in places where
Mhm.
people can find them.
Yeah.
And then
You,
there's the
yeah.
groups where they remain in the matrix and that they
Mm,
kind of keep one foot in and one foot out, and that there's kind of a weird like a weird comparison that's made there,
mm,
where we kind of look at both of those different types of people as being gurus or
mm,
whatever you want to call them, but they're living completely different lives. And
that's really true.
yes,
Yeah,
and
the ones that are going to the mountains in the Buddhist tradition, they call people that go into the mountains and just get the enlightenment thing all the time. They're called Buddhas, and
mhm,
then the people that stay with the one foot in the society are called
bodhisattva.
bodhisattvas. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. So like the people that are leading. So yeah, there is that sort of distinction in the Buddhist tradition.
Hmm.
Um,
But I just think it's interesting because it's not just the Buddhists who talk about there being a maybe it's a person, or maybe this person is a way of representing an idea that spread across,
hmm,
that maybe the people in the time, they had no other way of explaining what was going on other than to say that it was this person that did all this, that's causing all this to happen. Whenever
hmm,
anything could have happened, we could have been visited by aliens a long time ago, and the ancient people, they didn't have internet, so they had no way of explaining what was going on back at that time. But the only way that they could describe it was that it was this person, who was glowing, and that
hmm,
they were speaking these truths that had never been
hmm,
heard before. And so I'm not necessarily like making a claim that maybe the Buddhists are correct and that it is the Buddha and that that's the correct way of thinking about it. I'm just saying that there's an interesting exploration to be had, just like looking at the evidence that there have been civilizations that were around, that were around long before what we think of today as being the oldest civilizations, like the Sumerians.
hmm,
Within our mainstream historical perspective, we look at the Sumerians like they were essentially the first people, but there's more and more evidence that have come around. I should say the first civilization, but there's more evidence coming out that there were civilizations that were around before them, and that something obviously happened that disconnected those people from the Sumerians, because we're not thinking of the older civilizations that we're now discovering
Wait,
as
has any of that stuff been published in peer-reviewed
yes,
like
yes.
archaeological
There's
journals?
TED Talks. There's
Okay,
TED Talks
I
about
would like to see something in a peer-reviewed archaeological journal about
Look up
Civilization.
Klaus Schmidt. He
Klaus.
discovered a site called Göbekli Tepe. It's and I can send you this information,
Yeah,
but
can you
it
just send me
was
the information? Oh, you could
yeah
send it in the chat here. Yeah, can you just
yeah
type it in the chat so anybody who's watching could also check it out?
yeah. It may take me a second to
Because
find the
I don't know
actual
how to spell
study.
Göbekli Tepe or whatever that's called.
Göbekli Tepe. Yes, but that was a carbon dated site
Hmm.
that had been buried as long as I think the time was 10,000 BC or something like that. So
Well,
it was at least around at that time, if not older.
hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Send the information in the chat so anybody who's watching could check it out. Um, I think that would be fascinating if there are civilizations that existed before the ones that we know of in the mainstream. But in 100 years ago, people thought that the entire world was 6,000 years old. You know what I mean?
yes.
Like they thought that it was created 5,782 years ago, and Adam and Eve and whatever. And now our archaeology has dug back into the past by about 2,000, about 10,000 years of civilization or something like that.
Hmm.
So if you have if you could send, oh no, that's in the private chat here. I'll send it
Yeah, because
here.
I for some reason it's not allowing me. It's not giving me a box to
Okay.
send.
So I just sent it in the chat.
Yes.
So I'm gonna check that out. I think that
Yes.
that would be fascinating.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh here I'll it's in the chat, so you can click on it, I guess, if
Yeah.
you're watching. Anyways, listen, I gotta go in a couple of minutes, but this has been an interesting conversation. I'm a little bit worried about going full force into like telling people about the whole gurus are humans thing. I'm a little scared of the backlash from like gurus.
What makes you so like what is that instinctual feeling that makes you feel that way?
I think that people will be pissed. I don't know.
Why?
Like,
Like what did
well,
you say?
no, I mean, you saw the article. It was,
But
very
I don't feel that way.
balanced. Oh, okay. So
You
you
it
don't think people will be pissed
no.
about it?
I
Oh, Giovanna's also shaking her head. She doesn't think people will be pissed. Okay, great. So I'm excited. Then I'll publish it, and then I'll put the like a little excerpt from it into the magazine. Yeah, just maybe let me know what your favorite part of that article was, like whatever like seemed like the most hard hitting, something like that was really good, and then that way I can take some good little excerpts and put it in there. We got to have the magazine for the current issue. We have to have it done in like 2.5 weeks, and
oh dude, we got plenty of time.
yeah, that's plenty of time. Yeah, when people don't realize how much work goes into like a print magazine, it's like a lot of work. So
Well, I'm here for you as you know.
thank you, thank you. It's hard. It's design stuff and InDesign. That's the thing that takes a lot of time, and just getting all the content in. Um, if you want to, basically, I need somebody to write a little biographical piece about Deepak, and I'm gonna do the part about like the arguments with Joe Rogan and whatever, and like
Okay.
the that whole thing. But like
Hmm.
just like a little biography, like that sort
How
of is
many
like
words?
short, like one page, like one,
300 words?
yeah, 300, 500 words, something like
Okay.
that. If you want to write that up, that can be one of your articles also, like and then that would be helpful. If you don't have time, just let me know and I'll do it myself. Just like if you want to do it, let me know. If you don't want to do it, let me know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely do it. That
All
would
right.
be, yeah, I mean, I think I could write something good. I may give you a few different versions because I mean, I have an interesting relationship with Deepak as well. He kind of had like, I watched one of his lectures and he was kind of like one of the influential people that caused me to open my own mind.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So
Interesting. So that's good then. And you could start the article about that, like
yeah,
talking about that, and that's actually really great. But then I guess you also are a big fan of like Joe Rogan and those types of people. So you may have some like criticism also at the same time. Um, Do you want to write about that stuff, or do you want to just do the like biographical part?
I mean, I think, I mean, I can write about whatever. Like, I mean,
Do you know his story, by the way? Do you know his like life story? It's like most people don't know it, and I'm
yeah,
even having a
yeah.
hard
I
time
mean,
finding
he was a doctor, and
it.
I can't remember the exact scenario that happened, but that they're like he, has incredible credentials, as a medical professional, and eventually something happened that caused him to like really take into perspective more of the spiritual side of things.
Yeah,
And that's like a really simplified way of describing it, but
this is what I put together so far from watching videos on YouTube about him.
hmm
Basically, like, okay, and also from our conversation with him. So he basically was 6 years old in India, and his dad had like sent a telegram that he just got into the medical college in London or something, college
hmm
something medical professionals or whatever.
hmm
And then that night they all went out to celebrate, and his grandfather took him out, and they went out like to like a movie of Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, and like it was like a festival, and like they were like his grandfather was like shooting guns in the air and whatever. And then that night his grandfather died of a heart attack.
yeah,
And
I
that
do remember hearing something about that. Yeah.
yeah, and then that night, like then when his grandfather died, it like threw him into an existential crisis, which he says is he's still having, which is like basically like what is life? Like what is our existence? Like why do we exist? And like what happens after death, and what is death? You know what I mean? And like like stuck with him, and then he wanted to be a writer and write about that stuff,
hmm
but his dad wanted him to be a doctor,
hmm
and and then he was like his dad was like, oh, you want to be a writer? Here's some books, and he gave him a bunch of books that were all about doctors.
yeah.
so so then he ended up becoming a doctor, but then like when he got to America, like oh he told this funny story in one of the videos that he left India with $8 in his pocket, got to like Europe. His uncle was there and he gave him $100 to go and like have some money in America, but he like blew the whole $108 in one night at the Moulin Rouge in Paris. You know what the Moulin Rouge is? It's like
Yes.
yeah. So then he was like, okay, well I don't have any money anymore, and then he went to like he flew into JFK in New York, and he like placed a collect call to the hospital in New Jersey saying like because he was supposed to be an intern there as like medical intern. He
hmm
placed a collect call and he's like, hey, I don't have any money, can you pick me up? And they like sent a helicopter to pick him up, and it flew over Manhattan, and he was like, whoa, from seeing Manhattan. And he was like he had never seen anything like that before. So then it kind of like opened his mind to like Western society in a certain way of like something's going on here that's interesting. And then when he got to the hospital, everybody was like stressed out. All the doctors were smoking cigarettes and the drinking, and like they were like messed up in the head. I worked in a ER also, and the doctors are messed up in the head. That's why I didn't become a doctor. For real. And I ended up going into writing about stuff just like he ended up doing, except
hmm
he had his MD, so he got his credentials before he started. But then I think that's why he sort of wanted to blend the Western medicine with the Eastern philosophies. And that's sort of like what happened. And then he got on Oprah, and then the rest is history. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's basically that. Listen, I actually just realized from telling that story that I could totally write this article in like less than an hour, and that it would be actually kind of fun for me to write. I'm happy to do it if you don't actually like actively want to write it.
I mean, I can definitely write something, and if you want to do,
Do you actively want to write it, or do you just like want to help
I
out? Because
mean,
like
I
I actually
anything
want to write
involved in what we're doing, I want to do.
it. Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing right now. So,
Nice. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Forrest. Yeah, I hope that this whole collaboration between me and you and the meditation magazine as it's growing, with all the people that are involved, Megan and Giovanna and you and me and everybody, that like this grows into a beautiful magazine that changes the world in the way that, like, people like Alan Watts and Eckhart Tolle changed the world with their books.
Hmm.
We can change the world with our magazines in similar way.
Yeah,
Um,
well, I have a vision. I mean, that's why, in large part, I knew having the talk with Graham Hancock. I mean, it's not just Graham Hancock. It's that
it's all of them. It's
yeah.
all these amazing
Well,
gurus. And
we're living in a beautiful time where science is actually beginning to meet what these spiritual people are saying and have been saying, for a long, long time. So
yeah,
we're at a very unique place where, there's going to be connections made that are happening right now that are just completely mind blowing. And we're kind of like, we are at the edge of that. And we're interviewing these people that have these mind-blowing perspectives that are being validated through science today. So, I mean, it's hard for me to imagine like anybody in doing anything that's like more exciting than that. Like, I mean, this is just what I want to do. So,
awesome, man. Yeah, and speaking of all that, if anybody's watching this who hasn't subscribed to the magazine yet, I'm putting a link, meditationmag.com/magazine. You could just go on that link and you can get more information about the magazine that we are creating and constantly putting out. And we would love to have you. We're having a special right now where you get free back issues, like 2 free back issues if you sign up right now. I think February we might do a different sale, so we'll figure that out. But thank you so much for watching, and this has
yes,
been a
thank you.
random conversation between Kevin Ellerton and Forrest Neal. A random conversation which flowed into gurus and whether gurus are actually human or not. Which, yeah, I still, I don't know. The jury's out on that one. I think that they are, but I don't know. Can't say for sure. And the future of Meditation Magazine. And thank you for watching. And we'll be here pretty much every Friday, just talking about random shit. So thank you, Forrest. Thank you. And if
Yes,
you
thank
have
you.
anything else you want to talk about, always feel free to message me. And if I don't get back to you, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I'm doing some other thing, probably like driving or something. Okay.
I got you.
See you later, man.
All
All
right.
right.
Have
Have
a
a
good
good
rest of your
weekend.
day.
Yeah, have a good weekend.
All right, you too.